I think the time has arrived for us to do the right thing. This is a moral and ethical decision. We're talking about scientists creating human embryos for the purpose of exploiting them and destroying them.
Our administration believes that there are loopholes that could allow the cloning of human beings if the technology were developed.
Tonight I ask you to pass legislation to prohibit the most egregious abuses of medical research, human cloning in all its forms.
Therefore, today I am issuing a directive that bans the use of any federal funds for any cloning of human beings.
Yo, what up everybody? It's Donut. Thank you so much for tuning in to this exclusive Patreon documentary about the Illuminati human clones. The year was 1997, and 42nd U.S. President Bill Clinton, Vice President, and several medical advisors announced a ban on federal funding for human cloning, but allowing private corporations to continue cloning ad infinitum.
Effective immediately, no federal agency may support, fund, or undertake such activity. Of course, a great deal of research and activity in this area is supported by private funds. I'm asking for a voluntary moratorium on the cloning of human beings.
In today's video, we're going to be covering human cloning, deep underground military bases, the Clinton and Epstein connection to human cloning, UFO, alien cloning cults, and much, much more. People have been trying to pass bans on human cloning since 1997, but Congress will never allow it to pass. Human cloning has been around since 1938. Governments have advanced technology which outdates what we see by decades. A lot of these technologies are alien technologies. There are no United States federal statutes against cloning. Cloning, to produce genetically identical copies of a biological entity. The Human Cloning Prohibition Act of 2001. Congress passed a bill to ban cloning, but 43rd U.S. President George Bush would never sign it into law after it went through Congress, even though he expressed a concern for human cloning. Why is that? After a UFO cult called the Raelians, a cult that believes humans descended from aliens and that cloning will make them godlike, immortal, they created a corporation called Clonaid. They made a huge announcement that they have successfully cloned humans. Politicians in Congress were worried that banning cloning would lead to the banning of therapeutic cloning. And therapeutic cloning provides new cells for the New World Order elite to stay immortal and young. Therapeutic cloning involves creating a cloned embryo for the sole purpose of producing embryonic stem cells with the same DNA as the donor cell. This is the reason why this never gets signed by any sitting US president. But whistleblowers will argue that that's not the only case for them to ban these practices. The reason why is because they're doing human cloning experiments in deep underground military bases, also known as DUMBs, for the elites to reset the aging clock in cloned cells, which they use to stay immortal and for other selfish reasons. A movie called Boys from Brazil goes into this in deep detail about how they cloned Adolf Hitler and made about 10 Adolf Hitler clones. There is a lot of movies and propaganda that have been exposing what is really going on, these whistleblowers. There's also a movie called The Island in 2005. The truth is always stranger than fiction. The elites are cloning replicas of themselves to become immortal and for other selfish purposes. Jeffrey Epstein's Zorro Ranch, where Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton vacationed, coincidentally, is where Jeffrey Epstein hoped to seed human race with his DNA. Epstein was used by the New World Order to blackmail scientists to carry out the New World Order agenda to harvest human clones of the elite for the elite. to harvest their organs, growing them in cows as a carrier for their embryos. By taking 2 cells from the original retained a fertilized egg and using a womb of a cow or one of the elite's MK Ultra mind-controlled sex slaves for the fertilized egg to grow. George Siddell of Colorado State University spoke about how human cloning is easy after July 5th, 1996, after they successfully cloned their first sheep named Dolly. Dolly is the first mammal cloned from an adult somatic cell using the process of nuclear transfer. Nuclear transfer is a form of cloning by removing the DNA from an unfertilized egg and injecting the nucleus, which contains the DNA to be cloned. George Siddell expressed all that would need to be done to clone a human is using someone's eggs in someone's womb for implantation of the cloned embryos. Now, this topic of human cloning, yes, the elite and governments have been cloning since 1938 for stem cell research, therapeutic cloning, so they can be immortal and live forever. And corporations based out of Canada with the UFO cult, the Raelians, because it's part of their religion. But cloning goes even deeper. In this part of the video, we're gonna talk about cloned meat sandwiches, how the FDA has put cloned animal meat in all of our supermarkets, and we have been consuming animal clones for decades. In 2008, the Food and Drug Administration approved that milk and meat from clones of cows, pigs, and the offsprings of clones from any species traditionally consumed as food are safe to eat, sell, and make a profit, allowing your supermarkets to be full of cloned animal meat. And scientists can't distinguish a cloned animal and a naturally bred animal. There are no requirements by the FDA to label that your meat that you're eating has been cloned. They are cloning animals for you to eat. The Boyloff Group clones in China, cloning up to 1 million cows a year. They are in business with a South Korean company called SOAM, a corporation that is connected with the Chinese Academy of Science, and this is all for cloning purposes. Australia, Canada, Argentina, and Brazil also clone livestock. ViaGen is a company that clones cats and dogs and other animals. This is big business and has been happening for a long time. They do scientific medical research on rats and mice and rodents because any biological effect, anything that affects a rodent like a mouse or a rat, is exactly how the human characteristics and biological behavior reacts as well. We are so much similar to mice and rat. That's why 95% of all studies, medical studies, are done on mice and rats, according to the Foundation of Biomedical Research, because anything done to them is the exact same thing what would happen to a human. Mice can be cloned from other mice at infinity using nuclear transfer, which means humans can be cloned from other humans ad infinitum using nuclear transfer. The first human cloned embryo was cloned October 13th, 2001. They call this therapeutic cloning as a loophole to allow them to clone humans, saying it's therapeutic cloning for people who can't have kids. The UFO cloning cult. The Raelians are a cult that believes that aliens are God and cloning will bring them closer to God and make them God-like. The year was 1997 when the Raelians launched Clonade, a Canadian corporation registered in the Bahamas for human cloning. In 2002, the corporation produced their first clone named Eve. This is why Bill Clinton had to tell the world that federal funding will end for cloning, but private companies like Clonade and Epstein's Zorro Ranch can continue with the mission. George Green, a whistleblower who exposed the deep underground military bases cloning humans, states that he was going to be the next finance chairman for the next sitting US president. But after Ted Kennedy asked to have sexual relations with his 14-year-old daughter, he stopped working with the elites. He also told the world the US has been cloning people since 1938, and the scientists that have been doing it call these clones the others. Donald Marshall's message to the world. Donald Marshall told the world he was cloned by secret societies like the Illuminati and the Vril Alien societies. Please watch the Vril Alien documentary down below. It's the first documentary that we released on this Patreon page. Go watch that to learn more. His picture is on the Megadeth album cover released in 2001, The World Needs a Hero. He exposes a lot of these operations going into detail, how they do conscious transfer to the clones and many more details. He tells us via conscious transfer, they can transfer their memory into the new clones. Do these clones have a soul? The soul weighs 20 grams. When someone dies, they lose 20 grams in their body when they die. Is this the soul leaving, and do these clones have souls? Now let's go into Illuminati celebrity clones. There's a lot of different reasons to clone. The therapeutic cloning, so these elites can live longer. Also, cloning replicas of politicians and world leaders so they can go into dangerous situations, and if they get murdered or killed, it doesn't really matter, it's just their clone. But celebrities are more powerful than world leaders and politicians. Michael Jackson was so powerful. Prince, so powerful. Drake, so powerful. These artists can gather a huge crowd that somebody like Joe Biden or Hillary Clinton couldn't, because they have so much influence. Once they reach a level of power and status, they have to be controlled opposition. And by cloning these celebrities, they are able to have them preach what the agenda is for the next century. The movie Us is a perfect example of the deep underground military bases holding clones of people. As we see in that movie, there's clones of everybody living in these underground bases. This is just a good example. Movies are perfect for our subconscious minds to understand something. This is why The Matrix resonated with so many people, because movies and art speak to our subconscious mind. So do books, comics, art, all this speak to our subconscious mind that our logical mind can't understand. Other movies that have exposed this is the 2005 film The Island and Boys in Brazil. The Illuminati uses celebrities and world leaders as tools to brainwash the masses to carry out agendas for the century. Cloning is a way they can use body doubles for dangerous conflict situations with presidents and world leaders. It also comes handy for Manchurian candidates. They also clone celebrities when they become too powerful and famous, so they can use their clones for brainwashing. Dave Chappelle's first cousin says he's a clone. After Dave Chappelle hit such a high level of fame, he also came out on interviews exposing the Illuminati, and he wouldn't make the big multi-million-dollar contract with the Illuminati, and he told them no, and then he disappeared to Africa. The theory is that he was murdered and a clone took his place. Look at these images of before and after. It looks just like the before and after pictures of Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos. How they look real skinny, they look totally different, their facial structure is different. Britney Spears, after MK Ultra mind control meltdown, made videos which seemed as if she was exposing the cloning operation. In her music video Break the Ice and Hold It Against Me, it shows these cloning operations, as well as her song Mona Lisa stating she's been cloned. In 2001, there was a rumor that Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake were in a car crash. And since this car crash, they died and they're actually clones now. Slim Shady video depicts the Illuminati cloning station as well. And recently, an MK Ultra assassin attempted to kill him because he stopped doing the Illuminati agenda with his one album, which just talked about Satan and drugs and how great it is, and now he's sober and he's talking more about higher power and stuff like that. That is not part of the Illuminati agenda. And that's why I believe the MK Ultra assassin attempted to kill him. In 2006, people believe he was replaced by an android. Here's footage of him glitching on ESPN in 2013. Celebrity clones have been exposing these operations via their music videos and interviews. Tila Tequila has also came out public saying she was a Robotoid clone after the huge corporations gave her a massive deal. Gucci Man, after he was arrested for murder charges and breaking his probation and hitting such a high level of fame, he got put in prison, but many believe that he was murdered and the new Gucci Man is a clone. Look at these before and after pictures. Is this the same guy? Rapper Kid Blue claims he is a clone. MTV shows normalizing and brainwashing the idea of clones in shows like Game of Clones. Avril Lavigne in 2002, rumors say that she was dyed and replaced. Before and after photos show different marks of her body and an altered shape of her nose and face, just like Eminem and Gucci Mane. Reports stating Beyonce died in 2000 and replaced by a clone, and she is a known Illuminati member with her husband Jay-Z. Post Malone and Justin Bieber are from the same stem cells of human clones. If you pitch down Justin Bieber's voice, it sounds just like Post Malone, and if you pitch up Post Malone's voice, it sounds just like Justin Bieber. This also goes into the Church of Satan with Taylor Swift. Zena LaVey, a high priestess of the Church of Satan, and this was reported in a pop magazine called 17, the priestess of this Church of Satan from 1985 to 1990, just 1 year before Taylor Swift was born, and they look very similar. The truth is stranger than fiction. What are your thoughts? Please put your comments down below, and I hope everybody has a great day. God bless you.